What's going on, everybody? Quam Credible here, and this video is going to be a little bit different than ones that I typically do. When I got on Twitter today, I seen that there was a interview between the interviewer and Hiro Mashima, the creator of Eden Zero, Fairy Tail and Rave Master. It was basically a interview with him going over, some of his feelings about his upcoming series, Eden Zero, getting a anime. I initially seen this post from 11th Doctor. He's a guy that posts a lot of Eden Zero stuff on Twitter. Really helpful guy in terms of keeping the community informed on new things going on. Definitely give him a follow, and also I'll put a link to the original post right here, as you can see, as well as it'll be in the description if you would like to read it for yourself. Also, the original page is in Japanese. I'm not for sure who translated it. I'm not for sure if it was him or someone he knows or someone who works for another website. So I'm not for sure who did that. So I'm sorry I can't credit that person exactly. But I will be reading the translated one. If you go to the actual page itself, you can Google Translate it yourself. But some of the stuff is kind of weird. So I'll just stick to this exact reading here and just go over it, for anybody who doesn't want to read, or for anybody who's just curious and didn't know about it like myself. So getting into it, one thing I will say before I get started into the interview questions is that the very, very beginning of this isn't necessarily questions, but almost just like statements and comments before the interview itself. So I am going to read that first, just because that's kind of that's literally how it is on the page. If you just want to skip to the questions, I will put like the little timestamp in the description or on the screen, or I'll put it somewhere so you guys can like see it if you just want to skip all this stuff and go straight to the questions. But it is really, really short. But we can see right here, initially there is the disclaimer. It was almost like exactly what I was saying earlier, but I'll go through that really fast too. Sorry if there are any errors. This is a rough and quick translation on selected parts of the interview, which I deemed important enough to translate. There are some other irrelevant stuff in there as well. There are not, these are not word for word, and a lot of it is summarized. So, it isn't exactly as it was put, but, big thanks to the person who did translate it enough for you and I to understand it. So getting into it, Hiro was worried Ishihara would change too much of the work in regards to Fairy Tail when he first met him, because he is so passionate in how he wants to do things, because he trusts Ishihara. For any of you who don't know, Ishihara is the director, the anime director for Eden Zero, and he was also the anime director for Fairy Tail throughout the entire thing. So it's really cool that we were able to get the same person who worked on Fairy Tail back for Eden Zero. This is really important because I think it's important that the anime director and the creator of the series have already been through a lot of things together in regards to Fairy Tail, adapting that manga into the anime, and now for Eden Zero. So I feel like a lot of the things that they went through initially will be beneficial here. The next statement here is, according to Hiro, Ishihara tries to add new stuff not seen in the original. For example, he may suggest extending a scene that's a panel or two in the manga, giving original stories to unnamed characters, their past, etc. He trusts him because he believes that it will make the story more detailed, in regards to Mashima trusting Ishihara, which is a cool thing. It's always cool to see like a little bit of extra stuff added into an anime. I know some people don't care for it because it's filler, it's not canon, all that. But I really do enjoy the little bits of extra stuff added to a story. Now when you get like Bleach levels where you're just like in the middle of a very important arc branching off into filler, okay, that's when I dislike it. But just little added scenes here and there, or extending episodes with more interactions between characters, I personally enjoy that a lot. I can't speak for everybody else. On to the next statement. It does say that Hiro doesn't give any directions or supervision, but he makes requests such as, please make this battle look cooler. He also gives suggestions on scenes they can change, or this part wasn't very popular so you can skip it. These are brief discussions, and the direction and other aspects are completely left to the staff, which is just basically going over how Hiro Mashima, how he basically inserts himself into the process of them adapting scenes. I think it's funny that like he as the author will say that like take these parts out. That part was kind of funny to me. The staff is very particular about not betraying the fans of the original work. Hiro doesn't think there's any internal jokes, meta perspectives, or direction that only they can enjoy. For any of you who may be confused about this, I personally don't know any anime series like this, but I have heard of movies, and I'm pretty sure you all have heard of movies that have internal jokes that the writers or the actors have in the work itself that only they like only they got that joke because it was made on set. I'm pretty sure anime is no stranger to this as well with internal jokes, but apparently Mashima and Ishihara like to avoid this, which is cool, cool, cool either way for me honestly. Like I don't like care all like that, but everybody's different. When asked about Ishihara's directing, Hiro likes it. He said Ishihara understands each character well and is able to write original lines slash scenes in character because he has a great understanding of what characters will do and say. He used Natsu and Lucy as an example. There are times when Hiro would think, does does he know more than me, and laughs to himself, which is really cool that they have this kind of connection, and that Ishihara enjoys the series that much to where he's able to, kind of almost freeform enough to where the author himself is cool with it. So on to the actual interview questions. The very first question is, Mashima Sensei doesn't like drawing machines, to which Mashima says, I'm really looking forward to the action scenes that use gravity. I'm also actually not very good at drawing machines and other sci-fi stuff, so I have to lie about a lot of things. But I'm sure the anime will be cool thanks to the drawings of people who like that kind of stuff. In my opinion, the sci-fi genre looks better in anime than in manga in particular. I think that outer space, spaceships, and guns look better in the anime, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the details of the sci-fi direction in the action scenes. Which is really interesting that Mashima doesn't like drawing machines. I personally didn't know that coming into this. It's almost very odd that someone who doesn't like drawing machines would start a sci-fi series. But hey, I guess that's just Mashima. Then the next question is, you mentioned that you're not good at drawing machines, etc. And then Mashima says, it's not that I'm not good at it, I just hate it. And then he laughs, which is even it's even funnier to me that this makes it even worse to me that you would make a sci-fi series despite hating drawing machines. I'm really glad because I'm reading it, and like the next question goes directly into it. What made you decide to take on a genre that you're not familiar with? To which Mashima says, simply because there are so few space fantasy and sci-fi works in shonen manga. That's how I've always aimed for the gap in the industry. It was the same with Rave, referring to Rave Master. Today's kids might not believe it, but in that time there was almost no fantasy manga in the magazines. So I thought I would stand out by having a fantasy story in a magazine about delinquents in sports. At first, Fairy Tail looks classic, but it's actually doing something quite unusual. From the very beginning, all the adventuring companions are there, and if they don't want to, they don't have to go on any adventures in the first place. When you open it up, it's unique. This time for Eden Zero, it was the same feeling. Which I do feel like he is right. There right now, currently, there aren't really any like sci-fi or really good or notable sci-fi, stories in shonen. I mean, the last one we had was like Samurai 8 by Kishimoto, but that kind of flopped. Like, I don't want to use that word, but it is what it is. It kind of flopped. I mean, it was interesting, but it still flopped. So I personally am a huge fan of the sci-fi genre. Like when I was growing up, space was like really cool to me. Like stars, spaceships, all that kind of stuff. Oddly enough, it wasn't until later, like as an adult, that I started to get into more sci-fi things. But I thought it was really cool that this series is actually coming around and being like a space sci-fi series. As what he was saying about the past, I don't really know too much about shonen way back when, before there was tons of fantasy series, because like as of right now, it seems like everything is a fantasy series. So I don't know much about that one. But going on into Mashima's next statement is, he explained again, as he's done before, about choosing what the reader wants or what he wants to draw as an author. He also said many times that he wants to draw equal what the readers want to see, and that makes him happy. I feel like this is a common thing with like artists. Everybody wants to draw what will make other people happy, or create something that'll make other people happy. This is a really common thing. Mashima checks his messages from readers when deciding what readers want to see in the manga. He doesn't only look at social media, as that would give him a biased opinion. So he looks at other media as well. He also added that he mainly asks staff to find out what people think, etc. Mashima has also explained that he wouldn't change the storyline just because fans asked him, but he may do things such as bring back side characters etc., if the fans enjoy them. I want to say this was something that Rax the Hero was telling me about. Huge Fairy Tail fan. Check out his channel for Fairy Tail content, especially, or just Mashima content in general. But he was telling me that with Lisana, I'm not for sure how many of you are into Fairy Tail, but I want to say it was like staff members wanted her back, and like people wanted her back, whereas he himself didn't, and that influenced him to write her back into the story. So this does ring true to what Mashima has done in the past. While working on Rave Master, he wanted to turn it into an anime because it was his first work, so he was particular about making it multinational and the story depicting more than one region. He tried not to get too attached to the American/European feel and added elements from other regions like Africa because he believes a lot of characters with a multinational feel will be easier for the overseas fans to accept. He keeps this in mind when doing Fairy Tail and Eden Zero as well, which again we can see these themes in Fairy Tail, in Rave Master, and so far in Eden Zero the cast is very diverse in terms of like what you see. So I'm glad that Mashima has always been like that. When asked what he has in mind when drawing action scenes, Mashima said in his mind battle scenes are just for kids to think that's cool. So he's not trying to convey anything when drawing them, but rather saying isn't that cool, which I feel like is a very like I like his approach to drawing scenes or to drawing battle or like action scenes, because not every battle has to be some like philosophical deep meaning. You know what I mean? Like not every battle has to be like freaking Naruto versus Sasuke in the end, where they're clashing ideals, or not every battle has to be freaking Ichigo versus Ucleor. Like it doesn't have to be like that. Some fights just need to look cool, and I'm with that. I'm with this overly meathead approach, or like just overly simplistic approach to how battles should look. He also added that depending on the flow of the story before and after, it can be meaningful, so it changes from time to time. I'm assuming he's referring to battles. Themes of friends and family in his works are based in part of Mashima's real friendships and times he's enjoyed in his school days, and about the friendships he never had but fantasized about what it would have been like to have such friends. As for the family, it's based on things like mafia families and such instead of his own family. Mashima says he didn't know much about his own family as he didn't have a father growing up and only had a mother and a younger sister and grew up around women. And then this is a quote, "I don't have many memories of my family and I don't really know what a family is, so I rely on fiction." Mashima was inspired by movies such as Godfather. Seeing their bond, he thought it was amazing. Seeing this is really interesting because I would have like never known this about Mashima just from looking at his like series. If anything, I would have assumed family was a really big part of his life, seeing as how big family is or friendship is in all of his series. I definitely do think that he does succeed really, really well at driving this avenue home in his series. So, cool stuff there. And then we have the last question here. It says, themes such as friends and family have been depicted in previous works, but are there new themes you want to convey in Eden Zero? To which Mashima says, at the moment, we're continuing the themes from fairy tales such as friendships, family, and battles, but the theme may change a little by the end. I can't say that here yet. When asked, Mashima clarified that he's doing it with the intention of changing the themes and etc., but more like the themes may change when the mystery of Mother is revealed. So I still don't know what that means. Only theme he decided on beforehand was friendship. So with this, we can definitely see that Mashima is continuing a big theme of friendship, which is honestly no shocker. Anybody who's been like kind of reading Eden Zero or a big fan of Fairy Tail who's excited for Eden Zero could probably have already assumed that friendship was going to play a huge bit in this series. So definitely am really excited for what the Eden Zero anime will entail, even more so after this interview. So there's definitely a lot more questions that were on the original site. If you want to look through those, again, like I said, I will put the link to that down below. However, there was one question, or not really a question, but one thing that the 11th Doctor did cover on his Twitter page that I did want to talk about as well. So I'll put it up so you guys can see it as well as read it, and then we can talk about it. And this was as the 11th Doctor had said, Hiro Mashima's message to the fans regarding the Eden Zero TV anime. I myself am looking forward to the anime very much. I think that Eden Zero is a very anime-friendly series, and there are many scenes that will look great in the anime, such as action scenes and spaceships. So I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do, and I hope those of you that discover it through the anime will take the opportunity to read the manga as well, so look forward to it. And like the main reason I wanted to bring this up is because I really think it's really cool that he says this is a really anime-friendly series, and to which, if you're not sure what that means, 11 Doctor goes into it on his page if you want to check it out. But and we basically feel the same way about this. Is that it just means that Eden Zero will is very it's like perfect to be adapted into an anime. I mean, like, you can showcase more of what the story is about, and like really illustrate what you're trying to show in an anime better than in a manga. Like space battles, flying through space, blowing things up, large scale confrontations, all would fit much better in an anime. In Mashima's opinion, and honestly in my opinion as well. I feel like the way that this series is set up, an anime for it would be amazing. So I'm very much so looking forward to that as well. I hope after this you guys are looking forward to it as well. Make sure you guys go follow 11th Doctor for providing us with this amazing interview for the community. Big thanks to him, as well as get pumped for the Eden Zero anime coming soon in April. I'm very excited for it. Outside of that, make sure you guys leave a like on the video, as well as subscribe to the channel for more Eden Zero content that I will be bringing you as we get closer to the anime and after it comes out. So outside of that, I have nothing else for you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys in my next video.